I think that goes to just kind of talking about like vision and creation,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times with surf or different things, you'll see how the light's reacting different, how it's hitting the water or where the sun's setting or some kind of thing like that. But to have the vision, like you said, you woke up at 4, you knew he was coming down in this way, but having all those things set, you couldn't have him go back.
Yeah.
You couldn't say, could you go reset and do that one more time? The moment is there, and that's knowing your settings,
No, that's
knowing your camera, and having your composition, because that could have guys, I didn't get that one in focus. Like,
yeah,
no,
I can't
that
tell
doesn't
you.
work.
I can't tell you how many moments, like it's unlimited moments that I watched happen, and I'm like, oh man, I wasn't fast enough.
Right.
There have been times when I've been following racing, and like even to the moment of me lifting my bag, like lifting the flap to my bag. Like we push super hard in my FJ. Me and my guys, we're like off-roading, we're jumping, we're doing whatever we can to get to the moment, to get to the area where we think they're gonna come. So what we do is we use GPS and we kind of guess what part of the course they will be at certain times. We push super hard to kind of get there ahead of time so we have time to set up. But sometimes, guess what? They're faster for whatever reason. They find a better line or they go around traffic or whatever. There have been moments where I get there and, like I said, I'm lifting the camera out of my bag and they drive by me. Like I don't even have time to go from this to this, and when that happens, it's like I literally, if I just went 1 mile an hour faster, I would have got the shot, and they may not have been important, but in my eyes, I still remember that like it was yesterday. And I still, and in a way, I'm kicking myself for missing that shot, but
there's a lot of parallels I'm seeing, with like surf photography to the type of car photography and automotives that you're shooting, because you're saying they're coming so quickly. They're not always drawing the correct line or the line you expected or different things. Same exact thing with surf. Was that in focus? Did I get the right exposure today? And having all those pieces in play ahead of time, obviously apples and oranges, but so many parallels to them that I'm seeing just as we like talk more on the thing. I mean, just blowing my mind though too.
So this slide is more of like the corporate slide that I kind of wanted to show that I have that range. So if you guys go to Toyota.com right now, if you're in the US, most of the truck photos on the action side are our stuff, especially the new trail teams photos of the new trucks. Like the ones on the bottom, we shot that in Wyoming. But the interesting thing about the RAV4 that on the top shot is that wasn't actually shot on location. I actually shot that in a studio, and So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Larry only does action stuff, whatever. We do studio stuff too. It's few and far between, and part of it is that I would rather create it in real life. But the problem is with this car, it was so ahead of its time. So we shot this probably over a year ago, and it wasn't announced yet. It was completely code red. Nobody was allowed to see it. It wasn't allowed to see the light of day, and they just gave us the car for 48 hours. And they're like, you got to make it look like it's driving in the rain. So we went insane trying to figure it out, but we did so much in that we even simulated rain. We got a bunch of pesticide sprayers, and we shot water through a fan, and that actually basically created that water texture and also the mist in front of the headlights and everything. And I shot things little by little, and I pieced it together. But yeah, just like little things like that. Even if you guys are wondering, like we try to do as much stuff in camera as possible. So we jacked up both tires individually, and we wrapped a rope around the tire, and we just pulled the tire. And while it was wet, to kind of get that sheen. And just every little thing we try to get in camera as much as we can. And then of course we worked with my Photoshop and visual artist to place it into that real location, which I
want to see the BTS on this, Larry. I'd love to see that. Are you guys pulling the wheel?
Yeah, my friends at ProPhoto, they did an article on it, and I kind of talk a little bit more in detail of that.
Nice.
Part of cars. So for those of you guys who just tuning in, this is an actual deck that I sent to people in the off-road world. But I just kind of wanted to show that it's not all about just the cars. You know, it's the people behind the cars. It's people hanging out, lifestyle. It's just so much about the culture aspect of it. That's what we love about off-roading and overlanding and racing and just everything. It's so much about just the culture. Like, for example, with this shot, you can see I incorporated the vehicle still. You know, it's autofocus and it's right there on the bottom, and you can barely
creating
tell.
the lifestyle around it.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does this shot say? It's like, hey, we pushed super hard all day to off-road, and then now we're just watching the sunset, you know? So it's kind of stuff like this that may not be so commercial, but it's stuff that I love shooting.
Yeah.
So same thing, more lifestyle stuff, as you guys could see, like Sung Kang, Mr. Fast and Furious, on the top right. I actually shot that on film, if you can believe it or not. And it was with Portra 160 on film. And yeah, so it's just, I don't know, it's kind of a fun thing for me to shoot film still. Yeah. But it's a little slower, you know, it slows me down. And a lot of people ask me what I shoot for fun. A lot of it is film, and also a lot of it is instant film. So yeah. And I think that's Jimmy Johnson on the left, bottom left. I don't know, NASCAR fans. I'm not a big NASCAR guy, but did a Chevy thing with him. Details, big thing. I'm so big on details. Details can be so overlooked with cars. You know, a lot of people, when they shoot cars, they shoot the whole car. You know, they shoot the whole, they shoot maybe the wheels, the whole car, front, back, side. There's so many textures and so many colors and so many parts of a car that you can break up into pieces. And I'm all about shooting with natural light. So as you can see, all of these are with natural sunlight.
So nice.
Yeah.
That bottom right is just gorgeous.
Yeah, bottom right is a BMW A50 12 cylinder. On the bottom left is, I think, is that Charger, the Speed Core all carbon Charger. Yeah. Top right, those two images, is the Ford GT.
Nice.
This is kind of another shot that's not so exciting, but I just kind of wanted to show my range of things that I could do. This is a composite shot of that same Toyota where we shot in studio, and then we just kind of placed it into a location, you know, and just kind of wanted to show that it's potentially something that I could do that's more composite CG aspect of it.
Yeah.
Here's some more natural and composite stuff that I just kind of put together, because hey, if you guys are shooting cars for a living, you have to shoot the inside too. You can't just shoot the outside. As much as I would just want to shoot the outside.
Good tip.
Yeah. So again, another thing with the details, like if you look at the bottom left, that's the texture on a carbon rotor. That's natural, and it's something that potentially could be overlooked easily. But it's just something that I think is beautiful because it's not. It's almost like a natural looking thing. You know, it's like like something out of nature versus something mechanical, right? So it's just a carbon rotor, and that's just the way it came out. There's just so many little details.
What lenses are you using for some of these detailed shots? What kind of type of lens?
That's a great question.
Obviously not the 400.
No, I use that for everything. That's the only lens I use.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Fused. It's fused, actually. You can't take it off.
Yeah. So my best guess with these lenses, especially the Porsche interior top left and then top or bottom right, which is the Singer 911 interior, I think those were with the 35 millimeter.
Okay.
And then the other two, the Toyota FJ and also the rotor, I think I shot with the 135 millimeter. And a lot of people ask me why I'm shooting with the prime lenses all the time. It's because
I love prime.
Yeah, it's because I know you love the 50. I'm not really good on the 50 because I don't know. It's just for cars. It's kind of an awkward in between. But I've been using it more. With that said, yeah, I see someone, Jacob said Canon's 135 is amazing. 135 is the most bang for your buck. It's under $1,000, and you can get it used for $500 now. It's such a good lens, and it's f2. It's so wide open. That lens, believe it or not, was actually was released in 1998, and it's still good to this day.
Jeez.
But the reason why I use prime lenses, a lot of people wonder, it's because I like to use my body. I like to use my
I agree.
The space time, and I can move back and forth. Especially with surfing, you're not limited in terms of where you can be. Right? You're in the water. You can go further back. You can get closer. Right? And you can just pick and choose your moments. You know, if they're surfing and if they're getting closer and closer and closer, you can choose the moment when you start blasting away. Right? And it's the same thing with cars. With cars, you can move your head backwards and forwards, and you can go up and down. There's just so many things you could do. Plus, with a prime lens, you can shoot at 1.4, you can shoot at 5.6,
right?
You can shoot at 22, you can shoot at whatever you want. But guess what? If you use a lens that starts at 2.8, you can't go below 2.8. You know, if you use a lens that's a 4.5 to 5.6, you can't go down to 2.8. You know that. So at least I'd rather have that range in my ability to change. You know, like why not? You know, you should use every little tool that you potentially have to your advantage to make your picture stand out over someone else's.
Absolutely. I mean, I see too many when you have those zoom lenses. They have their place and they work in places, but I see too many where people are just standing there and zooming in and out, and you're never getting a different perspective. And to me, the primes, I shoot a 50 millimeter lens, way different from a 24 to 105 at Pipeline. It is night and day of how I shoot it. And it's just all a mental thing of like how you're moving and doing. With that said, my favorite, and I think I told you this, is a 24 millimeter Canon. 1.4. I turned John Lawrence onto that thing, and it is my favorite lens for lifestyle. It is tack sharp, just a beautiful piece of glass, one of my favorites. So next time we're together, gotta get you using that.
That's one thing I don't have, and part of it maybe I think is because for what I'm shooting, 35 is kind of the limit of distortion.
As wide as you want to go.
It's the limit of distortion for me. So if I'm shooting at 24, which I often do when it comes to action or when I'm doing rolling shots or whatever, it's you know, it's most of the time I'm shooting higher f-stop because I'm shooting slower shutter speed. But definitely maybe that might be another thing. But the problem is, guys, as many lenses as I have so many camera bodies, I have so many lenses, there's only so many I can carry with me. But the nice thing is we can always use remote cameras. But back to this slideshow. This is same thing. I while it's possible, as you saw in the last slide or the last couple of slides, it's possible to shoot things not on location and getting into location, but it's just so much more realistic at this time in terms of technology and in terms of budget saving. It's a lot easier to actually go to location. The bottom photo is another good example of a stitched shot. So a lot of people say, hey, man, 20 megapixels is not enough for me. And then I tell them, I shoot 100, 200 megapixels all day, all the time, anytime I shoot pretty much, because I can. And that bottom shot is just a stitched together shot.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Between Sets. Make sure to like and subscribe to be tuned in on all future episodes. Thank you.